Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk 20s. Sorry about the once a week upload last week. I had internet problems. My neighbors decided to upgrade their service, and then in the process, their provider cut our line, and so I had no internet for 3 or 4 days. But after a serious discussion with the boys, we have decided, based on personal life, all of us trying to commit and want to keep the consistent quality for you guys, we are going to upload once a week. So therefore, we're going to try to make the episodes, higher quality, better questions, bringing in guests and everything like that. But in terms of everything going on in our life, at least for the time being, we're going to try to do one a week. So with that being said, that is going to be the new schedule. But gentlemen, for now, and it's a good change. I think it's going to be good for all of us. We don't want to be burnt out. That way it keeps the topics fresh. We're going to be way more into the podcast recording because it's only the one a week instead of 2 a week. So I think it'll be a good change. But moving forward, Gemma, I just want to open it up and say what is new since the last time.
Well, I've been sick the past 2 days, unfortunately. So that's not been fun.
Damn.
But it is all good because it has not prevented me from keeping my goals. And I started doing this not crazy workout thing. I do 100 push-ups a day, and I'm going to be doing 50 pull-ups a day once I get a pull-up bar added onto that. And then I'm going to be doing 10 minutes of planking every single day as well. And I'm just going to keep upping how long I do each of those. So that has been a really hard challenge, but it feels good doing it every day, I got to say.
So is that in replacement of the gym, or are you doing the gym?
No, in addition to it. I'm doing 4 days a week at the gym.
Nice, dude. That's going to get you in shape for real.
Hey.
So I'm trying.
Right.
The 50 pull-ups is going to be the tough one for sure. I don't know about you guys, but
goodness, 50.
50 is a lot. You might have to do 25 twice a day because I don't know if I could sit there and do 50 in a row.
Oh, well, right now I'm doing 5 reps of each of them a day. So I'll do 10 pull-ups, 20 push-ups, and 2 minutes of planking just to work up to it. And then I'll change it to 4, then 3, then 2, and then hopefully one day. So,
wow, that's awesome.
That's big.
Hopefully you feel better. GT, what's up with you?
Well, season started, so we had a scrimmage on Saturday. We won last inning, so did a little comeback,
Nice.
So it was good. So close to finishing everything on moving in, so very happy about that. Just overall, feel great, staying with my goals, and I caught myself slacking a little bit on my reading. I caught myself, so got back into it. I was like, we're not doing that. So get back into it and just taking more initiative and being successful with accomplishing my goals. I'm excited. Let's keep it going and high quality, boys.
Good for you for catching yourself, man.
Yeah.
That's how you be honest with yourself. Solid.
100%. Well,
Tanner?
gentlemen, since the last time we chatted, I'm trying to think. Nothing crazy. Honestly, just a pretty relaxing weekend. I'm trying to think of anything new. Nothing on my end. My dad.
Cool.
My dad's doing well. He recently got himself a hot tub, so he's enjoying life. That's life. I mean, this man's literally he's treating himself. Rightfully so. He deserves it. But so I'm gonna definitely have to make a visit down to him soon. But in terms of my life,
For the hot tub.
work, gym, just grinding it out. But for this week's topic, gentlemen, it's something that I personally believe is a big misconception for people in their 20s or even actually through life. Success, and how a lot of people try to group success and make it a generalized thing. Whereas I'm going to argue in this episode, and I think the two of you agree with this statement, that success is independent. And that's going to be the topic for this week. So to open it up for you, gentlemen, I have a question. Simple question here. What is success to you?
Success to me, I think there's different perspectives on success, and I think there's not just one type of success. I think there's the many successes and the large successes or tasks, objects, obstacles, things like that. I think, yes, there are some different sprints, within this marathon. There are the marathons, and then there are the sprints, and there are obstacles all around, and it's not going to be clear and straight, but it's going to be good. I think success is accomplishing a task or doing something that you want to do or think is better for you. and it's a positive. But there's also success in a failure because you're learning and growing. So that's a success. That's a little success that might not be what you think is a success, but is getting you closer to maybe the big success that you really want. So it's really undermining and like digging deep and digging into those little things that are failures that society might look at, but could actually be quite a big positive and a learning. So that's just a little bit of what I think success is. So
Well, yeah, I can't, very well said, GT. You covered a lot of general aspects of why success is independent, should be considered independent, and why it's important. It has to do with your small goals, your big goals. It has to do with your everyday successes of life, your everyday failures of life. And I really like what you said about how you can find success even in your mistakes, because you can learn something from it at the end of the day. And I would consider that successful. The only thing that I can think of to add on to it that came into my mind when I saw this question was success to me is also like inner peace. When you are striving for something in your life, whether it's big or whether it's small or whether you fail at it, success is about what you take from it and whatever kind of peace you can gain from the perspective that you take whenever you are successful or whether you are not successful. You can pretty much have a successful outlook on any task that you take, even if the outcome itself is not successful, like GT mentioned. So for me, I know that when I'm successful about something, like I'm proud of myself, but I always notice, because I'm an anxious person, that I don't think about it as often as when I screw up, of course, naturally. So when I'm really successful at something, really proud, I feel very calm and I'm very at peace with myself. So for me, that's what I would say, in addition to all the great things GT said.
Yeah, Connor, you stole my one point I was going to add to GT's, which is the peace of mind. I feel like if you are content and happy where you are, first off, you're awful lot better than 99% of people, but also you are successful in your own right and way. And in terms of the topic, success is independent. I also think success can depend on if you feel success or you feel happy and content or at peace when you are alone, because it's very easy to fall into the life of where you're trying to please your partner or please your family or other people because you're used to having a community in your life. But when you're by yourself and you're stuck in a room by yourself, do you feel at peace? Do you feel like you are at a point where you feel successful? If you feel like you are, then I think you're 100% at that point. So that's what I'll say about that. Connor, I know you had a quote that kind of ties into actually being alone.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Kind of walking into the next question, the quote that Tanner's alluding to that I found online was, the hardest walk is walking alone, but it's also the walk that makes you the strongest. What do you guys think about this quote? How can we apply it to our lives in our 20s and even moving forward into our 30s?
So I don't know how Tanner thinks about this, but I'm gonna put it out there. There's so much truth to that quote. I would say for me personally, I've been through some hard walks alone, absolutely, as a lot of people do, especially in 20s with, college, bills, all that type of stuff. But one thing I do want to put in there before we get into, diving in on alone, I think, and I'm going to throw this out there. I know the title is Success is Independent. I think success, while I do agree to a certain degree on what Tanner said about success and peace, and like you said, Connor, as well, peace of mind at the end of the day. But I will say that sometimes the success, while it is maybe a success for you, you definitely have to give credit to, where credit's due. And I think it's something that, and you can't undermine that, and you can't discredit other people who have helped you to what your success is, right? Because success deals with everything in life. And you'd be lying to yourself and you'd be lying to others if you didn't, give the credit. Because I know our significant others have helped us through a lot to where we thought we were really alone, but we really had people there helping us guide there. And they can also enjoy that success because they want you to be excited and happy. Especially in our 20s when we're all trying to figure this out. We all got different things going on and we're all seeing different successes in our own paths, our own careers, or our own things. But I think there's definitely, yes, at the end of the day, it is your life. You're playing a game of life, but you also don't discredit or take away what other people have done
Yeah,
for you along the road.
for sure.
Yeah, because you would 100% be wrong to say that the big things that you've accomplished up to this point in your life was purely you. Like,
Right.
no, it's the person who offered you the job to be successful. No, it's your family members that kept you accountable. You wanted to give up. No, it's your coworkers that helped you and trained you to become a better employee at the same place. You know, like there's always someone, right, that contributes, or like you said, GT, a good
Significant
word is
others.
influence, or
Yeah.
influence for sure. That's the great word to describe it. In terms of the quote, Connor, I do think it's one thing to have that support, but to kind of go against the grain and do it by yourself, or know that you are going against the grain and still following through with that and succeeding, it speaks a volume about your character. I know specifically, I've talked about it so often, is my recent accomplishment was purely on my own, besides, like I just said, my coworkers and everyone who helped me, letters of recommendation, everything. But I was going against a path that when I first started, I didn't think I would be able to achieve anything. And I just put my head down and did it. And I got to that big goal. So I feel like you said, GT, not to ramble on or reiterate what you said, it's 100% true to a degree. You have to take accountability for yourself to have your independent success, but success is not entirely independent in terms of getting to that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I will comment on what GT said after I briefly touch on the quote, because I think you guys have summarized the quote pretty succinctly. Nobody can walk your own path for you at the end of the day. People can help you along the path and influence your path and how you're going to do it, but you got to take the steps forward at the end of the day. And it's hard to do because you have to gain confidence and you have to gain strength in yourself and value in yourself in order to walk that path. And it is hard to do that because it's hard to analyze yourself and logically sometimes. I mean, it is, because you think so differently about yourself. I think all of us can relate to that. It's hard to analyze yourself at times. So your path that you see others take, you might think it's like, oh, I can do that or whatnot, or, oh, they did it so easy, how come I can't do it? You know, we talked about not comparing yourself. You got to focus on your own path and focus on your own strengths and weaknesses, on how you can make it over that line. But like GT said, the main thing that I'm thinking of, and I won't reiterate what you guys said, but there's a fine line between being successful and arrogant and being successful and grateful. And gratitude is probably the absolute best way to combat arrogance and combat selfishness and combat narcissism, because like you both said, you cannot discredit all the people that push you, or all the people that were there for you when you really needed them, when you maybe didn't feel successful, or maybe when you felt like you strayed off the path. Even though you went down another avenue, they were still there to remind you that you're still going forward, maybe, for an example. There's no way, you cannot discredit that. And I know we all have very specific people that we think of with this. So it's important to rely on yourself, but it's important to be grateful to your community. And I think that was a great thing that you brought up, GT, because it's a very fine line that you have to find with your own success and with how you can be grateful to others. And success is just a hard thing to find a fine line with in general.
Yeah, with finding that line, you know, his line is different. Us three do have a lot in common, but we all are different people and different careers, different paths, like I said, right? And you know, with success and how we're talking about it being independent and this line being drawn, you know, there obviously is that point, like you said, Connor, and where you take initiative and you made maybe the object, task at hand important and what needed to be accomplished or taken care of, you know. And for you guys, where does that line get drawn at? What creates that line? Like, what's the tipping point getting into this other side?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is kind of talking about the peace of mind aspect with success, maybe, that we talked about before. If you're finding that you're trying to accomplish something or trying to make a goal, but you like maybe don't have peace of mind about it, maybe you're not happy with how you've gone about it, you really need to analyze what objectively you're doing to accomplish that goal, and if you're doing everything that you possibly can within reason to obtain that goal. And if you aren't, that's where you draw the line. Because if you're not always going to feel great about some of the things that you do. I understand that, and you're going to sometimes feel like you're not making any progress. That's fine. But the line that you draw is your dedication, regardless of how you feel sometimes about it. Like you have to push when you're tired. Sometimes you have to push when you have all this stuff on your plate, but you're still going to make time for accomplishing this goal. We're talking about like reading books in a year, and GT talked about. He said he felt like he fell off, and now he's pushing himself back up. You drew that line because you're like, oh, I'm noticing that I'm getting off this. I'm drawing this line. We're doing it now, because you were able to analyze yourself, and maybe because you didn't have peace of mind about what you were doing for that specific goal. So that would be the first thing that I could think of.
I mean, what more is there to add? Because I was trying to think of other ways I can go with it, and I was gonna say maybe if it's too draining or this or that, but like you just mentioned, Connor, there are going to be times where you're tired, and you do have to push through that. You have no option. So I think ultimately, yeah, I hate to not contribute something else or something new to an answer, but I really do feel like peace of mind is the drawing point for me as well, because there's been times where I was doing everything. Sure, I had more money in my bank account. Sure, I was getting closer to accomplishing something, but it's like, for what? Like a lot of stuff I was trying to accomplish was so short term and so temporary. For me to sacrifice all of my well-being and my happiness and my peace of mind, it was affecting everything else that was going on in my life, my relationships, my social life, just everything. Everything else just plummeted because I was so focused on trying to become successful to a degree. Well, then guess what? I got to that point, and for what? A lot of things I had in mind, or what I thought was going to be success or to make me successful, looking back, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter. So yeah, 100% peace of mind. If you're sacrificing that, and I notice that I'm starting to literally lose my sanity, then whatever I'm trying to do is not important enough.
Yeah,
I totally agree. I think it's hard because Connor put it so well put. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, like we've talked about, it's a game of life. And you have to be able to go to sleep happy with yourself. And within a society and within the world, everyone wants to one-up each other and be better than each other. Where does that, like you said, where does that bring you? Mm-hmm. You're so happy with this person was doing this and that. You maybe saw this on Instagram. You saw this on Twitter. You saw this on Facebook. Whatever it may be. It's instead of competing against people, having that clear, happy, appreciative when you lay down, just being happy with yourself at the end of the day and knowing that it was a good day, it was a productive day. And if something bad might have happened in that day, guess what? It was meant to be. Take the plus from it, take the pros, learn from it, but just really not try to compare, because I think that's where we start to really get away from our true selves and our true successes. And then our successes mold into others when we're then, like that walk alone. Now we're going along a different road instead of where this is our road here, but there's someone else's road.
That's my question for you, GT and Connor, is why is it better to have the mindset to care about your own success and what you're doing instead of trying to compete with others? You mentioned it, GT, and that is somewhere else I wanted to steer a conversation, is why do we need to care about our own success rather than, like you said, the competition and trying to replicate others? Why is success independent in that term?
Like we've said, at the end of the day, a game of life, you have others with you. And while we love the people around us, your name is to you. People are going to be associated with your name. They're going to be around your name. And when your name's brought up, they're going to be thought about and people are going to talk about them. But at the end of the day, when people take them out of the picture and they focus on just you, what did you do? What did you accomplish? Who did you influence? How were you influenced? A lot of people, autobiographies, that's you, right? It's your name. You're the title. going down, those are people that are associated with you, and they are big, big pieces. But also, you're going to have a little bit of a competition in there, but the fine line is staying the course of yours. You might notice what they're doing, but you can't let that start to veer you off what your true intended path is. So let your own autobiography be this beautiful work of art and beautiful, sheet, report, packet, book, whatever you want it to be. Don't make it into other people.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's I've been waiting a few episodes for that fucking symbolic anecdote, and there it is, right there.
Yeah,
That's well said.
Well said, man. I'm not even. That's the quote of the week for sure. So I'm not even gonna steal GT's thunder. That was awesome. Well said, GT. It's an autobiography at the end of the day, and you cannot let other people's measures of success be your own definition of success. Because like we've been saying, as the topic for this episode, success is independent. For me, my success in life has more to do with me being around people that I love and care about and offering something to the world that's special and that I can truly help people with. It's not about making money for me. That's my definition of success. But obviously not everybody would be happy with that definition of success. Does that mean I'm a failure in their eyes? Maybe,
yes.
But it doesn't really matter because Tanner, I'm happy. No, for real. It's because I had peace of mind with going with my own standards of success. I can't control what other people want for me at the end of the day. People might have those wishes, and I need to be there for people, and I need to be grateful when those people help me with my success, but I can't let them define, like GT said, you can't let them write your own autobiography for you. I mean, that was very well said.
I think what it is that you, like we've said so many times with social media and this and that, you see someone being successful, but you don't know how they got to that point, all the hard work they put into it, and you don't know how happy they truly are. Like I said, and Connor said, and I think as GT has mentioned as well, it's about your peace of mind. And you don't know, just because someone's more successful, it does not mean that they are also proportionally happier than you. Mm-hmm. I would say a lot of times you see these successful people, they've had many, many nights where they're, grinding it up by themselves. And yeah, sure, they're successful, but are they as happy as you and I? Maybe, maybe not. So in terms of trying to compete with others, you just never know what someone else is going through or how they truly feel about where they're at right now. Maybe they don't want to be as successful as they currently are. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot more to it rather than just looking at someone on the outside and just instantly saying, I know how you are. I want to be just like you. And then they're going to be like, no, you don't. No, you don't know. You don't know what I've gone through. Like, really, though, everyone's personality is formed by all the things that they've experienced, their environment, whatever. So it's like, yeah, maybe I'm more personable than you, for example. Maybe I'm better with people. But it's because, guess what? I had to move 12 or 13 times. I was forced to interact with people. You had to be personable. I had to be personable, right? You can't look at someone's productivity or something, judging a person from the outside, and then say, I want to be just like that. You have no idea what they're going through. So just worry about your peace of mind. And everyone's success is on a different scale. You don't need to, like Connor said in your previous episode, people's workload is different. So maybe you want to get to that point, but guess what? You can only comfortably work 40 hours a week before your mind's fried. That person, they can put in 80 hours a week. You just never know.
Yep.
Yeah, and that goes into what I wanted to bring up was, like we just kind of briefly went over, is everyone's perspective of success is different. No, us three right here, we're just not even a fraction of the human population. And we have very different perspectives of success because we're not doing the exact same thing. No one's life is a clear cookie cutter shape. So, but in your daily life, there are successes. In your daily life, where do you see these successes, and your perspective of success? Where do you see that? Where does it come out?
I'm going to bring up something that was sort of related to this and sort of related to the previous question. Then I'll talk about my answer to this. I've talked about the Happiness Lab podcast several times on here. Great podcast. If anybody wants life advice, it's awesome. It's Science of Being Happy. Anyways, there's an episode where the host talked to a psychologist who specializes in working with people who are very wealthy, who make salaries of $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, right? This should be like key for anybody who's thinking about like perspectives of success, because she would talk to these people who, by our standards, like all of us who are in college right now or not in college, whoever's listening, and us who graduated college and we have these jobs, $250,000. If I was making that, oh my gosh, I'd be so happy.
Oh,
but
yeah.
these guys constantly, the psychologist talked about how much they compared themselves to people above them. Man, I'm not making 500,000. I wish I was making that, because then I could buy this. 500,000 people. Oh, if I was a millionaire, can you imagine what I could do with this? Like, they constantly were reaching because they were never happy with where they were, because their own measures of success were defined by something else, some other like construct, which was money in this case. So I just thought that was interesting to bring up, because even people like you said, Tanner, and like you keep bringing up GT, who seem like they have it all, have all the money in the world, they still compare themselves to people who are higher, because there's always going to be somebody who, if you're not living your own measure of success, is going to reach that standard more than you, because it's not your measure of success. Anyways, to answer your question, GT, about my own daily life, I take it a day at a time and try to have more positivity and gratitude with the things that I do and offer to the world, and also things that other people offer to me in the world. That's where I've found more success in my daily life, so that I can be more consistent with my goals and my habits, because I'm learning that if I'm more positive and more grateful, not only to myself, but for the great things that happen in my life, I tend to find more positive things, which leads to more successes in my life. So my perspective, at least on success, is I literally got a sub right before I came here and had a conversation with the lady who was making my sub about her daughter and some of the things that she was going through. And she told me, thank you so much for letting me talk to you about my daughter. And I took that as a success, because I helped somebody work through a problem a little bit. Even if I didn't have to change her life, I didn't have to completely radicalize her whole view of everything, but I helped. And that's, for me, that was enough. And so that's a daily success. And so like helping people, I had to learn what I value in order to figure out what I consider successful.
Okay.
Wow.
I like
Well, that's
that.
great. That's
Thank
great,
you.
man. I think for me, success is an everyday part of my life to a degree, but I don't have necessarily, as much as I have daily goals and stuff, I've been working on, especially more recently, since I've been talking with you two gentlemen, about being a little too hard on myself and making what I believe is realistic daily accomplishments, weekly, monthly, whatever. But there's always the next thing. So it's like this vicious cycle where I'm never completely satisfied with myself. And so I say, if I am 1% better each day, then that is good enough for me, because by the end of the year, that means I'm 18 times better than I was January 1st of 2023. So it's not necessarily tangible things. It's just in general, looking back, did I do something that increased my productivity, or something I did at work, or this or that, 1% better each day. Yeah, I'll just say that, in peace of mind. Once again, I'm telling you that the mental health and just being happy of where you are that makes you so much better off than the people that you just mentioned, Connor, or probably 99% of people out there, unfortunately. It's the sad truth, but peace of mind is so, so important. What about you, GT?
I'm going to incorporate something Connor said and you, Tanner. So actually, I'm going to start off with you, Tanner, because Connor's is going to be with that. You said 1% better each day.
Love that. I
absolutely love that and agree with that. Now, Connor, and he said, I just want to be positive. If I'm more positive about my day and seeing all of this and the little things, that's a success. Me personally, I like to involve those, right? Because I think now some people think, oh, if I don't get 1%, my day wasn't a success. Me personally, I'm always going to continue growing. I'm never going to be the complete full thing. And then this is very sad to say, but no one's going to be their complete full thing until the day they die. And that's going to be what it is. Think about it. That is weird to think about, because you learn stuff throughout your whole life and you keep learning. So I don't look at things as always bad. Like if it's a negative, you say you do a negative and a positive on the day, right? I don't necessarily do the negative, but I will say life is gonna happen, shit's gonna happen. But even if people think it's a failure or something bad, like I said earlier, I don't even look at it as negative. I look into the positives of that, and I add that to my things that I did that day, and I'll think about it, and I'll be happy about it. Because if I put myself down into a negative state of mind or a negative road, why would I do that to myself? Like, that's not helping me mentally, physically, emotionally. It's not helping me, and it's not helping the people around me. In my daily life, all the happy things, all the good things, awesome. Like, I learn from those and I get better from them. And I go about things differently and in a more constructive way. But the things that might be seen as degrading or putting me down, I'm like, I brush it off, but I don't completely let it go.
Yeah.
I take the positives and keep that with me, and I learn from those to create that better me and that more positive.
Yeah, GT, that very well said. I try to use what I am talking about in my everyday life, but what you two said was the 1% and then the GT, just even with the negatives, finding the positive. I really enjoyed what you guys said about that. I have to learn, just like everybody else, how to analyze myself objectively so I can find my own measures of success. And by the way, GT, you said that thing about you keep learning until you die, and that made me think
Don't.
What?
It blew my mind. Were you gonna say it blew your mind a little bit?
Oh no, it blew my mind because it like succinctly made me think of the moment you're wisest in life is the moment right before you die. Like, and that's exactly what GT said. I didn't even think about that, but you're right, because if you have peace of mind right before then, you know you've lived a good life and you're, oh, I'm happy. But if you don't, then you're like, oh shit, I didn't have a good life. Like, that's crazy. Right. You're absolutely right. In order to figure out, how happy you can be right before that moment happens, you've got to accurately measure your reality and concretely measure your strengths and weaknesses so you can always be successful, have a positive mind, and be present and just enjoy your life. That's one of the most important ways to develop goals, to earn success. In order to earn success, you got to develop goals so that you can feel success. You have concrete ways to measure your success by accomplishing these goals. So I wanted to pivot a little bit in talking about that and kind of ask you guys, I've seen different perspectives on how people develop their goals in order to feel success or earn success. Some people underdevelop their goals so that they always feel successful when they meet them, so that they're always pushing themselves and they have that positive mindset. Whereas other people overdevelop their goals and they push the boundaries of what they do so that they're always reaching for something. What do you guys think about those two perspectives, and which one do you think is better?
I hate this question.
I know.
I hate this question.
That's wow.
I hate this question because
Connor,
both are wrong.
Piece of
both are wrong. Okay, that's not what I expected.
No. Well, it's not that both are wrong. It's just that
I'm with Tanner on this. I don't think either one is the clear right.
And the reason why is because I fluctuate between the two, because it's an adjustment for me. I go from, okay, I'm going to shoot for the stars. Okay, crap. I didn't make it. I was close. But how am I going to get there still? Then back to the drawing board, and maybe it's a smaller micro goal to slowly work up to that thing rather than constantly shooting for the stars and constantly disappointing myself. Right. Granted, I push harder than I probably would have if I constantly underdeveloped myself. Yep. So for me, my initial thing is shoot for the stars, overconfident. And if I don't make it, fine. Failure is always part of the process, but how am I going to get there still? And then that's when I go back and maybe not even underdevelop my goals, but kind of decrease my reality and make the goals smaller and have several smaller goals, if that makes sense. So it's not that I don't think either is correct. I feel like if you just stick with one of them in either end of the spectrum, you're not reaping the full reward. Yeah, you're having some problems. So that's my answer.
I like that you said that. GT, I'm sure you have a similar answer, but I think there is a balance.
I think I love what Tanner said. I think either one, if you stick to either one, you're going to be disappointed with yourself and disappointed with others and disappointed with life in itself. And I think you'll never be truly, peace of mind will never be fully accomplished if you stick with one of them. Because if that's how you go about life, that one simple little thing that we all are trying to get to or want to accomplish, it's not happening. So I think
Yeah.
I would definitely say I'm about along the same line as Tanner. Definitely there are things, later in life that I do want to accomplish and I will accomplish, and changing that mindset of want to will for me is something. Now, granted, I kind of go about it not, it's going to be this. I've learned to know that for me personally, that's not happiness for me and my peace of mind. Mine is what I get, I'm going to get there, but I'm going to let it go at my own pace because everyone is different in life and with this pace. And I cannot compare myself to others. And when I started doing that, I started getting a little upset and frustrated. And I don't like it when people talk to me and compare me to a lot of others because it's my own life. Like, why am I being compared to other people's stuff? My life is my life. But I do understand at some points, yes, you do need to, sometimes being compared to other people does get your butt in gear. And I will completely agree with that. But to end out my answer, I grow and I get better from it and I'm better and better, but I don't beat myself up over it and I don't set one thing instead of that because I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice and I'm doing my life and what could be coming around and doing and happening. I'm doing that a disservice and I'm just letting it all go by. Yeah. And I'm not taking full advantage of, what's there. So
I like that you guys took that approach with it. I guess I kind of figured that's what y'all would say. And it's funny it's funny because I think I've struggled where at the beginning, like when I really started trying to figure out who I was, especially starting in high school, I adopted the latter approach where I shot way too far. And then in college, I tried to be a little bit easier on myself because I was just always disappointed, like Tanner said. But then I just became complacent. And so now recently I'm breaking away from the complacency. And I guess really what I should have asked y'all is which one would you go for first? Which one should you do first, I guess, if you're going to balance them both? And Tanner kind of already answered that. And I'm assuming GT probably also shoots for the moons and then has to balance it sometimes as well. At times. I don't want to speak for you, or is it the opposite, GT?
I would say old me would absolutely shoot for the stars and not even acknowledge and appreciate the small steps and all that. But as I've come to grow older, and I do like to think that I do become wiser with age, like you said. But now I'm more of foundation. I'm more of build foundation. Because if you shoot for the moon, you might accomplish it, but what foundation do you have to stand on? And what foundation do you have to be with you? Because if you shoot for the stars, you get it. Because then you're not yourself, and then you lose sight of all that stuff, and you might go straight away from it.
So what happens when you fall back to ground zero? Yeah,
exactly. And what if, by God, something happens? It can be bad. So I think you absolutely need to have that foundation, but also want it. You gotta really want it and grab that bull of life by the horns and just don't let go of that bad boy.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really add too much more. I think I balance both of them now. And at the end of the day, what I try to do for myself is, again, it's about the peace of mind thing at the end of the day. I think I probably think a little more right now because I'm trying to change so much in my life that I'm shooting for the stars a little bit. But like you said, GT, if you got no foundation to stand on and you end up crashing, if you don't allow yourself to have those small victories and maybe like let your goals just be what they are and let them just sit in reality a little bit, that's nice to have every now and then, because at least like if you shoot for the stars and you got nothing and nothing happens from it, at least you got all this other stuff you can be grateful for. I was very excited to ask you guys that question, and it ties hand in hand with goal setting and how you try to develop these goals for yourself, and like what does that mean for you when you are developing these things. So I was curious y'all's approach. I loved it.
Were you happy with those answers, or were you like, I thought these bozos would have more?
I actually thought Tanner was gonna just go straight with the ladder. I will be honest. GT, I thought you were gonna mix, but I thought Tanner was gonna be like, nah, shoot for the moon, dog. But that's because
Oh, yeah.
you
Why?
always
That's
shoot,
what everyone.
because you always shoot for the moon. That's who you are. Like ever since I known you, you shoot for the moon. That's what you do, and it's great. I love it. I'm not saying anything wrong with it. It's just ever since I've known you, you always shoot. Like you're always here. Your ideas are always big and always up there. It's that's who you are.
Ain't nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
There's no.
Until you disappoint yourself a few times and you're like, fuck man, I wish I could change this about me. No, that I think part of it is the way I was brought up too, you know. I don't know. My parents always said if you want something, go get it, no matter how big it is. And you know, I think I just take that to everyday life. But
Keep
speaking
it
about
pushing.
the goal management, I know we can all agree that it's good to have daily, weekly, monthly goals to kind of set yourself up for. But how should you make each of these standards of goals separate or different from one another? You know, how do you differentiate your daily, weekly, monthly goals from one another?
Ooh, I
In order
think
to
this can
be
go
successful.
so different ways because I think I know for me, yes, some things are close, but I think you have to be able to really be precise on some things, and you have to be clear, and you cannot make it where you start morphing into others because then you can get lazy. And that's for me personally. You can get lazy if you start morphing it. Well, if I accomplish this, then I kind of accomplished this, where you might not have fully accomplished that other, right? But yes, you can appreciate that you did get part of it, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have that peace of mind.
I mean,
What about you, Connor?
might be piggybacking off of our wise guru, Mr. GT, this episode from an earlier episode. Seriously, you have some zingers this episode, man. I'll be real with you. But it's about building a foundation even with your goal setting. So you could start out with a really big yearly goal or 5-year goal or whatever, and your daily, weekly, monthly goals that have to do with it, for example, are building a foundation for you to eventually achieve that goal. Or if they're just habits that you're trying to make for yourself, if you're trying to start a habit, like, for example, reading, like GT talked about, or working out, like we've talked about, make those habits build off of each other. So a daily one, I'm completing this workout this day. Weekly, I'm going to do this many workouts and log it by going like this and sticking with my macro on these days, something like that, you know? And then monthly, it's like, I want to be at this weight. You know what I'm saying? Everything builds off of each other to where what you do daily affects your weekly goal and achieves it. And then your weekly goals, when they stack together, help you achieve your monthly goal. So it's building a foundation, like GT said. And it's just about not overestimating how much time you have when you plan certain events, because I think sometimes we can tend to overestimate how much some tasks are going to take, and then we also underestimate what we can accomplish in a day. So if you can be more concise with your daily goals and maybe not underestimate exactly what you're going to do, then I think it's really important to focus on that and be very precise in how you measure that so that you can make better goals for yourself daily, weekly, and monthly. Tanner, close us out.
Oh, he's been quiet. He got some stuff coming up on the head.
No, I was trying to think of what to say to not copy either of you two. I think it comes down to how bad do you want that big goal, that monthly goal, let's say in this instance. If you really want that monthly goal, then you're going to have to sit down and figure out how you're going to get there. And it's all about just breaking it down slowly but surely. And like I said, it's that 1% better each day. If you get that 1% better each day, you are going to accomplish those big goals. If you are constantly improving, you are going to eventually get to the point you want to be at. It's just a consistency and differentiating. Okay, this is the big goal. It's not what I should be focusing on. I should be focusing on the process to get to that point. And I think that differentiates a lot of people who are trying to be successful versus those who actually are successful. So I like what both of you said, but I think this is a great episode. I'm definitely going to look back on this one, especially when I'm down in the dirt and I feel like I need a little pick me up to push myself and continue to improve myself and be consistent and work on my independent success. What do you two gentlemen think?
I think this was a great episode. We got to see different views and perspectives, and I think it was something that, while yes, there's a lot of truth in success being with like independent stuff, and at the end of the day, everyone's playing the game of life. But a big key takeaway that I've said a couple of times, and I will forever say, is do not discredit, do not ever dishonor or whatever those who have been there for you and that helped you. That is the quickest way to where you thought that foundation was solid, to where your foundation can then be broken into pieces.
Yeah.
And then you have no platform, you have no foundation, you have no nothing. And at that point, you're on your own.
Well said. I won't add much more because that's a very good way to end the episode. And I think us talking about our different perspectives on success illustrates how independent success is, because all three of us have our own different measures of success for ourselves. And it's just about being grateful for those who have been there for you when you are or are not successful, just like GT said. So I don't have much more to add.
Yeah, remember where you're at, but don't forget where you came from. We'll just leave it at that. I just want to say thank you guys for listening to all the episodes. We recently accomplished a milestone of 30 episodes.
Ooh.
And the consistency, I'm telling you, we're going to keep this up, and we're not stopping. And I know I have seen more feedback now than I have up until this point, besides when I initially posted the first episode and everyone was excited about that. We're going to keep pumping out content for you guys. And I really think that this episode specifically was a great one. And yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. Follow the Instagram page, Let's Talk 20s Podcast. Use the BetterHelp referral link in the Instagram bio, but it is betterhelp.com/Let's Talk 20s. If you want to talk to either three of us, Connor, GT, or myself, more than welcome to. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you in the next one.
See ya.
Peace.